Welcome, everybody, to the Ring Generals podcast. I'm Nick Nenad. Alongside me is Eric Santos and the RKJ Man, Ryan Johnson. Today on the show, our triple threat topics are the Royal Rumble. It happened. Two of them happened. We had the two winners. We'll discuss that, and we'll discuss the surprise at the very end. We have a brand new WWE superstar, and she's very famous, and she's an ass kicker.
Oh yeah.
The second topic of the day, we're going to talk about the XFL. We dove into it last week a little bit, but we're going to dive fully into it today. Vince McMahon reviving the XFL. It's a little different this time too.
I got some strategies too to help the XFL.
Exactly.
You think so?
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah,
we want to talk about that. We want to hear that.
Let's talk about
exactly. And the third topic, we are going to discuss the announcement of Triple G and Canelo. Their fight is going to happen on May 5th. We'll also jump into some announced UFC fights as well in the third segment of the day. But guys, let's start the podcast off with the Royal Rumble. Ryan, I'll let you start. Give your initial thoughts on the Royal Rumble. How'd you like the pay-per-view?
So, first of all, somebody texted me earlier this week who listened to our first episode last week and said, well, you seemed pretty angry last week. And this week, if last week, first of all, was angry RKJ Man, this week you're going to get happy RKJ Man, because that Royal Rumble last week was fantastic. It was amazing. It more than made up for that terrible Monday Night Raw. And it more than made up for the Royal Rumble that was in the same city, Philadelphia, 2 years ago when Roman Reigns won, when even The Rock couldn't help Roman Reigns get over.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for Asuka to win, was it predictable? Yes. But Asuka winning, fantastic. I think we talked about the possibility of Asuka winning. We all mostly thought that Asuka would at least be there until the very end. And then Shinsuke Nakamura winning. Now, I have to admit, I was a little nervous because, when I was watching it when I came home, I had accidentally fast-forwarded. And so I had gotten on the network, and,
I've done that before.
It was live. So I saw John Cena getting ready to do the five-knuckle shuffle to Roman Reigns. So I was freaking out. I was like, I was in a bad mood. But then I realized, Shinsuke was in the ring too.
He was in the corner, yeah.
So I was like, thank God, at the very end. But I was happy. I thought the Royal Rumble was fantastic. Obviously, the title matches were underwhelming. I don't know what else to say other than the fact that they weren't as good as what we were hoping them to be. But at the end of the day, it's the Royal Rumble.
Well,
People are coming for the Royal Rumble.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, they were kept short, but all eyes were pointed on two Royal Rumbles, which is the men's and the women's. So, I mean, I'm happy about that. Seeing Asuka win the Rumble, I was like, yes, I actually wanted her to win. I had a feeling that Alexa was going to sneak her way in and, maybe eliminate her and help out Nia Jax, her best friend.
Interesting.
And, it's a good thing that Nia did get eliminated before that could happen. And when I saw the last two, which was Nikki Bella, and I said, no. This is not going to happen. No, this is not going to happen. I don't want her to win the Rumble at all. I would rather have Asuka.
She got close, though.
She did.
Woo.
Yeah, she did. And that being said,
that Bella shake.
So did Santino back in the day. Do you guys remember that?
Santino
almost won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
I know. I remember some surprise entries in the Rumble for the women's Rumble. It was actually fantastic. I actually thought that I'm not sure if you remember Jazz. Do you guys remember Jazz?
Oh yeah.
I remember Jazz.
Yeah, I remember.
Jazz.
I thought she was gonna enter the Rumble because when I saw Jacqueline, I was like, I think even Jazz is gonna show up in the Rumble. Because she was like a badass mofo, back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
You can say the word if you want to.
Yeah, go ahead, let loose, man.
We are not on the radio right now. This is a podcast. Yeah.
But let's talk about how great Lita looked.
Okay, well, can I give my take on?
I was happy to see
I actually want to give my take on all those entrants.
Okay.
I am not as high, to be honest, on all of those women being back in the Royal Rumble. I thought there was actually too many surprise entrants to where a lot of them I didn't care that much. The men did. I thought the men's Royal Rumble was perfect. Okay.
Really?
I thought they had the perfect amount of surprise entrants. I thought they had a good storyline during the Royal Rumble, and the winner was good as well. And even at the end with all the old guys versus the new guys, I thought that was fantastic. The women, it kind of seemed a little bit clunky in the middle with all these random, but you knew none of them were going to win. That's the thing. So it was
Well, that's the point of the Royal Rumble.
Well, no, but
like,
that's not the
like,
point.
That's what makes it great.
You shouldn't expect only like 2 people to win. You should expect like 10 people to win.
But the Royal Rumble,
I did not know in the men's Royal Rumble who was going to win that match. I did predict Nakamura. I didn't actually predict it on this podcast, but I kind of said after, I'm like, if I had to pick one guy, it would be Nakamura, because I just think they want that AJ Styles Nakamura match at WrestleMania. Now it's happening. But I did think that with all the women legends coming back, it just kind of seemed like, okay, Asuka or like Sasha Banks or one of those, like one of the 4 horsewomen are going to win this match, and it just kind of seemed like a little clunky to me. And I obviously loved all the women coming back that came back, but I just thought there was almost too many. So that was just my take. It's a little different than a lot of people's. I still love the Rumble. If I had to nitpick on one thing, though, I think it was just that there was too many surprise entrants and they weren't going to win. So it was like, okay,
what you
great.
Smoking, Nick?
Well,
Vic?
Well, for the first women's Royal Rumble, I mean, of course you got to have every single woman from the past to come back. But I always believe that, okay, the first, if you thought, Nick, that the first Rumble was a little bit clunky for the women's Rumble, we'll see how it goes from here, like next year. So I'm pretty sure it's going to improve. They're going to find out what they can do to improve the women's Rumble, and also not only they had the first ever women's Rumble, but we're in the month of February now, right? So now we're going to be having the first ever women's elimination chamber. So
that's kind of
there
crazy.
you go. So
I think they're spilling it together too much. I mean, it's meshing together too much. They're doing too many first. But
are you saying that women should not be inside the Royal Rumble, Ryan?
No, I'm talking about the elimination chamber. I think they should be in the elimination chamber, but I think we should go, maybe next year doing that.
Why next year though? What's the reason for next year?
I just think we just got done with the historic Royal Rumble, where we have our surprise entrant that we're getting ready to talk about in a few moments, coming in at the very end, impacting everything on the road to WrestleMania. Like the focus should be now, okay, let's build up the women's division, let's get it ready for WrestleMania. But they want to do it now because they're serious about making history and about doing first. I just think they're just so intent on doing everything just now. Let's have a Money in the Bank. Let's have a Hell in the Cell. Let's have a Royal Rumble. Now let's have an Elimination Chamber. It's just too much. But kind of piggybacking off of what you were saying, Nick, I actually disagree with you, man. Like, I don't know what Rumble you're watching, but I thought it was a fantastic Rumble from start to finish, and Sasha Banks was the star of that match, in my opinion. Because
I agree with that. I'm not
like,
she did last it for quite a while.
Oh, yeah, she lasted for almost 55 minutes. And for her to come out and, like, when she's attacking Asuka and she says, "Who's ready for Asuka? I'm ready for Asuka." Like, I love that aggression. That's the Sasha
You're talking about Raw?
No, I'm talking about the Royal Rumble.
Did she say that?
She said that at the Royal Rumble, too.
Okay,
she said that at the Royal Rumble and on Raw. And, like, when I heard that aggression and I heard that aggressive heel mentality come out of Sasha Banks, then I said, okay, this is the perfect timing for her. And then she tossed Bayley over the top rope. So I think we've got a possibility for a Sasha Banks-Bayley matchup at WrestleMania. Yeah,
but are you saying you only like the Royal Rumble because Sasha is sort of turning heel?
No, I liked it for many other things. I was just giving credit to Sasha Banks on that one.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you had Lita come in. Lita looked great. Okay, yep. You had Michelle McCool come in. She looked good. You had Nikki Bella look good. And you had Trish Stratus, of course. I think you have to have some of these old timers in here.
But half the Rumble was filled with them, though.
Yeah, but guess what? The roster only has about 7-8 women per roster.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So
maybe wait till next year to do the Women's Royal Rumble if you don't have enough entrants. Because all I'm saying,
you're never really going to have enough entrants.
With the men, we named like 5 or 6 dudes last week that could have won the Rumble, legitimately. And during the Rumble, there could have been more. Like I actually thought that one of the surprise entrants, Andrade Almas, could have won the Royal Rumble.
Oh, he looked
at
fantastic.
One point. So. But with the women,
by the way, his
with all
entrance at
hold on. Let me finish though. With all these women entrants, all these legends, you knew they weren't going to win because they're not going to put on Trish Stratus versus Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania. You just know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They're not going to put Michelle. So that was my only problem. I'm okay with surprise entrants, but like three or four, not like 15. It just seemed like a little much. Put some of the NXT divas in there. So I say divas because it's just I'm so used to it. I've been watching wrestling so long. So don't take it that I'm disrespecting them. I just say that sometimes. But it just seemed like there wasn't enough legitimate women's wrestlers on the roster right now that could have won that match. I think they maybe should have waited till next year to do it because it just seemed like they didn't have enough people. And it was predictable. I don't like things being predictable. And the men's was not predictable at all.
Really?
No. We named like 7 guys that could have won the thing. That's not predictable. That's naming almost 1/3 of the Rumble to win it. Where, really the only ones that weren't going to win it were like Heath Slater and Rhino and Rey Mysterio and stuff, people like that, And Rey Mysterio, I even thought, you never know, he's come back, but probably not.
Could be like maybe just that gig that he had, Rey
Like,
Mysterio.
let's say this.
Yeah.
How many people did you actually think were going to win that Women's Royal Rumble?
I said 3.
Okay.
I said 3 had a legitimate shot.
Okay, but the men's, I thought it was like 6 or 7. That's my thing. I'm just saying, I thought you got to make the matches, less predictable than that. And I just think maybe waiting one more year, adding a little bit more to the women's roster would have been nice.
I mean, I understand that, but at the same time, you go with. We see primarily men wrestling. We don't see the women wrestling primarily. So obviously, they're not going to have as many women on the roster. So you're going to need some spots to be filled up.
Well,
I thought they could have done a little bit better job. They could have brought up maybe some chicks from NXT.
That's exactly what
Maybe
I'm
they could have
talking
brought
about,
up
yeah.
chicks from the Mae Young Classic too as well. So I get what you're saying with that. But, you have to understand too, I think these women went out and did a fantastic job. And I told you in the text message, I said I will eat crow. Because I said last week, if this is a disaster, I will criticize it. But if it's great, I will come out here, I will come on the show following week and give the women their due. And I'm giving the women their due. They did a fantastic job. And they, in my opinion, they had a better Royal Rumble than the men.
Oh, see, I disagree with that because the women's one was good, but just I thought the men's one was almost done perfectly. Like I can't find really anything wrong with the men's one, besides maybe at the very end not having Roman Reigns as the guy to face Nakamura, because it was somewhat predictable at the end that they weren't going to have Roman Reigns go over in Philly. That was just not going to happen. But that was like, I'm just saying. Okay, how about this? I want to you guys name something that was wrong with the men's Royal Rumble.
Well, for my start,
Okay.
I would have to say is that some of the surprise entries, I can name you maybe like 3 or 4 that did surprise me. One that I was really happy to see was Adam Cole.
Well, was anything wrong with that though? I said, well, what's wrong?
What's wrong with it? What was wrong with it is that I didn't really see that many like past guys to come
fair.
back.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
It wasn't as impactful as I thought, from last year's, which was that they had Goldberg and Lesnar and Taker.
Lack of stars.
And another one is that it looked like the WWE was trying to sell us that, if you want to see the Rumble, you want to see Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, John Cena. And I said to myself, wait a minute, I never really asked to see these guys. I never really asked because I did because I did see Orton win the Rumble, but I wasn't really behind him or Cena or Roman Reigns. I'm not. I'm it looks like they're building them up to sell you you got to watch it because these guys are here. Wait a minute, I never asked for any of these guys. All right, so that's on them. And for me, I said to myself, okay, it just shows to you that there's not enough guys to make you want to buy into the Rumble or even watch the match. For me personally.
Yeah.
So, when they were building that up, I just thought to myself, okay, it shows to you that they only have just a few guys just to
that's fair.
hold
Chris.
hold the Rumble.
Yeah. That's fair. But who would be in replacement of Randy Orton and John Cena? Who would that have been?
There wasn't that many stars, Eric.
Yeah,
I was for a Rumble too. Like last year.
I was hoping maybe some more breakthrough stars from NXT. Maybe some guys. I would have wanted to see more of that
In the end, or just in the overall Royal Rumble?
in the overall Royal Rumble. I would say
okay,
so.
okay.
I would have enjoyed seeing that. Instead of just one guy, which is Adam Cole. I was happy to see him though.
Well,
but
Andrade almost too.
Almost too.
The
almost
NXT
too. Yeah, it's true.
yeah.
That's another one. I just thought that it was just. I felt like the Rumble, for the men's Rumble, it felt like the 30th entry. It was predictable because I had a feeling that Dolph Ziggler was going to draw either 29 or number 30. and that was predictable for me.
Yeah.
You know who I actually thought it was going to be? I thought it was going to be Jason Jordan. I was actually surprised he was not in that match.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
be honest.
yeah, because he would have had a feud with,
because my brother and I were we were saying, okay, well, I don't remember the exact order of who came out at the end, but Rey Mysterio surprised the hell out of me, of course.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Oh yeah,
expecting that.
I didn't see that coming
But
either.
I think Roman Reigns was pretty late, right? If I'm not mistaken, was he really late?
I want to say 27.
20. Okay, I think Mysterio was 27, but I know Roman Reigns was late, so I knew he was going to come out eventually. There was a couple other guys that came out, and I was like, okay, they were expected. But the 30th entry, I was like, oh, shoot, it's going to be Jason Jordan. The crowd's going to boo. Vince likes to do that, I guess, at 30 for the last couple of years, making it a terrible person, right? But it was good. It was Dolph Ziggler. I thought he actually got eliminated really quickly.
They're done with Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess that is what it is.
It's over. Yeah.
Like, and that's another frustration.
So I guess
that
I'm
had.
even finding things that were wrong with the
like,
Men's Royal Rumble. But
see,
I just thought there was the Women's Royal Rumble just seemed clunky to me. And did any of you think that the Women's Royal Rumble shouldn't have been the main event as well, and that the men's should have been the main event? Because I think you could have switched the Rumbles and it wouldn't have made a
It's
difference.
debatable.
No.
Yeah.
Now
to me,
that
it's
we
debatable.
know. Now that we
See, I think this is. You know what's funny? I think I'm not taking the main event as seriously because I expected Ronda Rousey to be there. So that wasn't a surprise to me when she came out at the end.
I wasn't
Plus,
surprised
they should have
either.
shown the damn screen and saw it because I didn't know who it was, for a while, and they really didn't show her until she came out. But normally they'd show the screen and you'd be able to see it. I remember when AJ Styles came back in the Rumble a couple years ago, they showed the screen and you could see who it was.
Yeah, Rousing Roddy or something.
Yeah.
Roddy something. One of those things.
Rowdy Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, like they had
It
it.
is hard
I
to
don't know,
say.
man. It's a tongue twister, bro.
But so maybe that's coming into my criticism a little bit of it is that I expected a lot of that stuff to happen. It was predictable. And I don't like predictable in wrestling because that's kind of not really the point. It's supposed to be you don't know who's going to win, all this stuff. Of course, Braun Strowman's facing off against Heath Slater. It's probably going to be Braun Strowman the winner. But if you got, you don't want it to be like, and even though the Bella twins at the end, you're like, they're not going to win. They're not going to win. Asuka's going to win.
They could swerve you.
Yeah.
I felt like they could swerve you, and
have Nikki Bella win.
I had a feeling because
Did you think Maria Menounos was going to get involved? I did. I thought she was going to trip up Asuka at the end, and Nikki Bella was they were going to have some
no, that was
angle or something.
Not in Philly.
I was impressed. I was impressed with Naomi did when she almost got eliminated.
That was good.
And then she tried to get back into the ring by using the chair, by trying to using her hands to try to move.
Did you think Alexa was going to flip over her chair?
That's pretty much what Kofi does every year, though.
Did you think Alexa? I know exactly.
Yeah.
It's totally ripping off Kofi
Yeah,
Kingston.
she is. That is true.
I thought Alexa.
Somebody
Bliss,
mentioned that too.
I thought Alexa Bliss might flip her chair over.
I thought so too. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Create some SmackDown versus Raw match at WrestleMania. You never know. That's happened in the past. I wish they would actually bring that back this year. Maybe have a really real SmackDown superstar versus a Raw superstar as one of those. I always liked that back in the day. I can remember the Shawn Michaels Kurt Angle match. WrestleMania 21 was really, really good.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved to see that because I think probably the
Still could happen.
only real star, the only real two stars in SmackDown are Nakamura and AJ Styles.
Bobby Roode.
Bobby Roode's good.
Yeah.
But with the U.S.
But
title,
I'm talking about
not.
carrying the brand,
Yeah, Bobby Roode can't
almost
carry the brand yet.
carrying it, putting the flag. AJ and Nakamura are probably the only guys. Yeah, for a time, Bobby Roode he was getting an awesome reception when he did come to SmackDown, but then it started to, wind down to some of his matches he's been going through on SmackDown. So, I think just the real stars are just AJ and Nakamura. That's me.
And I think.
And they're in the main event.
Yeah, and they're in the main event.
Yeah, see,
It's gonna
there
be
you go.
a- Even Nakamura said it. He said the WWE Universe wants me to face AJ Styles. I mean, I think everybody and their mom knows that AJ Styles and Nakamura is set for WrestleMania.
That's true. Yeah.
Don't even think about touching it, Vince.
Well, they already announced it. I
Yeah.
mean, if they change it now, it's just gonna piss everybody off.
Yeah, it's set in stone. It's time to rock and roll. Let's get this thing rolling for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But kind of talking a little bit about the Royal Rumble. I thought what I liked about the Women's Royal Rumble is I felt like there was an added amount of intensity. Like I could just feel it in the crowd. I sensed it, and in the men's, I don't
See,
know.
I did not feel it in the crowd. I thought the crowd didn't. I thought the crowd
feel it.
didn't give a crap for like the first 15 minutes of the women's Royal Rumble
I felt
because
like
they were burnt out.
Well, burnt out with what? I don't remember the match that was there previously.
It was the Raw title match, the Universal title match, which wasn't even that was like a 10-minute match.
It was short with Lesnar and
Strowman
I
think
and
they
Kane.
were just. I told you, like I had a feeling that Brock might go over in that match. I still think there's no way Strowman loses the Elimination Chamber. I don't like so that it's weird. Like watching that, I'm like, dude, there's no way he's gonna lose.
You're gonna be so disappointed when Roman Reigns wins it again. You're gonna be so
They
pissed.
can't bury
You're
Braun
gonna be so
Strowman like
angry
that,
when
man.
we're at
They
that Raw, and like Roman Reigns comes out, and he won the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
Yeah, because I don't really see a future feud again with Miz and Roman because I think it already served.
No, that ended.
It
Monday,
served.
more
Yeah,
than likely.
it served its purpose already. So now, whether you any of us like it or not, they're gonna shove it down our throats.
Personally, I would expect both Miz and Roman Reigns to get a qualifying match as well for the Raw, or for the Elimination Chamber on Raw. We're just jumping to Raw real quick.
Yeah.
But because we had the three guys, I was surprised seeing them beat Finn Balor, but we'll jump into that in a second.
I wasn't surprised.
Elias beat Hardy, that wasn't surprising, and then of course Braun Strowman nearly killed Kane on Raw, which is like again he's like literally murdered like 5 superstars on Raw, and they just act like nothing happens to these guys. Like it's funny.
He's the new big superstar.
Yeah.
Like the big.
He's winning that
strong
title, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Like,
At
he's the new
WrestleMania,
big
Braun
superstar.
Strowman is winning that title, not Roman Reigns.
that guy's a monster.
I'm guaranteeing it right now.
And the
Unless he gets hurt.
And the
Unless
crowd
he gets
loves
hurt.
him too.
Yeah,
the crowd
I
loves
love
him when
Braun.
he goes
Yeah,
crazy.
you got to put that guy over. That's what WrestleMania is for, at least in the major main event. Unless you're making a statement like The Undertaker's retirement last year, I think you have to have a guy like Braun Strowman go over at WrestleMania. Absolutely. You cannot have Roman Reigns
So
winning
you
that
approve
ring.
of Roman Reigns winning?
Oh, I'm okay with Roman Reigns being in the
Brock
match.
Lesnar. You're okay with Brock Lesnar getting beat by Roman Reigns because that's
I'm
what
not
it's looked
100% against it because I think Roman Reigns can. He's obviously younger, and I think Brock's not 100% in the product anymore.
70,000 people from New Orleans are gonna freaking boo Roman out of the building if
Yeah,
he does.
well, maybe. See, I don't know. Maybe he's not. I still think the main events probably should still be AJ Styles and Nakamura. To be honest, the whole thing. See, that's the thing. You have your main events. The final match should be the one that's not disappointing. They screwed that up a couple years ago with Roman Reigns and Triple H. I think they just didn't realize how much people hated Roman Reigns. Now I think they know it, which is why they play to it on TV. And there's no way he's gonna win a match at the end of WrestleMania. Just like he would have won the Royal Rumble, right? If they still thought the way they thought.
He won a match last year at the end of WrestleMania against The Undertaker.
But that's different. They were making a statement of The Undertaker retiring. It wasn't really about Roman Reigns necessarily, at least in my mind. It wasn't about Roman Reigns winning that match. It was about The Undertaker losing and not having it anymore.
That whole feud was about The Undertaker retiring.
Exactly.
Quote
Yeah,
unquote.
it
Because
was.
I still think The Undertaker is due for his matchup with John Cena this year. And that's his retirement match.
You know what's funny? See, but now he's in the Elimination Chamber. I thought he was going to lose last night, and it was going to create the whole thing.
But that's what I wanted to talk to you about, and this is what the point I was trying to make.
Okay.
I'm disappointed in the men's Royal Rumble because it didn't further the WrestleMania storylines. Like I expected John Cena to get interrupted by a gong. That's what I expected. I expected a gong to happen, John Cena to get distracted and get eliminated, and then that starts something that next Monday. Maybe he hears another gong, and then he gets beat by Finn Balor. So he keeps hearing these gongs, and he starts saying, all right, like, I thought you were retired, Undertaker. What's going on with that?
Yeah.
You know, I expected something with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, maybe a stare down as they're walking past each other.
It's probably it's probably a sound tech kind of problem.
Like
from the production company. I mean, for the
Oh,
production
no, they
truck.
get fired immediately. They'll get fired immediately.
But we wouldn't know that,
Yeah.
though.
I'm just playing.
Yeah, they've been playing this feud, but the damn guy with the sound won't play his music.
I know, right?
It's weird.
He just likes the gong music, you know? Just plays it just to mess
exactly.
with us. And all of a sudden, it's going to culminate a WrestleMania match with the guy who's been playing with the gong music up against John Cena.
Exactly. But
John's going over like always.
it's funny. But no, by the way, I'm not saying the Royal Rumble was bad at all. I thought it was really good. I'm giving it 8, 9 out of 10. as far as
Wow.
pay-per-view goes.
Pretty high number.
Well, yeah, and the only reason I'm not giving, I'm pretty loose with like ratings. Like I'll
not
get
Dave Meltzer.
most
Right.
WrestleManias.
Yeah.
I'm giving like a 10 because I'm like, okay, that was amazing. The main event was great. I'm gonna get, but the only reason it was an 8, 9, or 10 because I thought they could have switched the 2 Rumbles. I didn't think the Rousey thing, just because I knew she was gonna show up. I didn't think that was that big of a deal. I mean, it'd been circling in fans' perspectives for like the last year that she was going to show up, so
Yeah.
wasn't too surprising. Not like Brock Lesnar way back in 11. That was super surprising. I did not expect him to come back on that Raw after WrestleMania. I think it was the day before I'd heard, Brock Lesnar might be signing with WWE, but that's not enough time for you to be like ruined.
That's surprising.
The Rousey thing was a little. So I thought the men's one could have finished it. I'm kind of used to the men's one finishing it too, so it's whatever. But I understood. I just thought there was too many legends. Hopefully next year they got like 20, 25 women on the roster to actually wrestle. And there's a couple surprises, but it's not like this year where it was like people that weren't going to win. Kelly, Tori Wilson, they weren't going to win the match.
Tori
Although
Wilson
they
looked fantastic.
great. Tori Wilson looked great, but I thought Kelly looked the hottest.
I'm sorry.
Again, dude, her ring gear, man.
I love
There
me
was
some
it was
Tori
it was some
Wilson.
tight ring gear Kelly was wearing.
This conversation's never gonna end.
It's not gonna end. Which is why.
And let's talk about Carmella.
I mean, Carmella's just hot.
You
all
know
the
she
time.
got eliminated, right?
Oh,
Your girl
No,
got
Eric, I actually
eliminated.
didn't think she got eliminated. I thought she was still in the Royal Rumble.
yeah. Somewhere Carmella still saying she still got 2 title opportunities.
I that's the thing I don't get. I mean, she has the Money in the Bank briefcase and she's entering the Rumble. Like, well,
Why
what's the
wouldn't
deal
you?
with
Why
that?
wouldn't you?
Why?
You'd have a double. You'd have a double
It's happened
WrestleMania.
It's
thing.
happened
It's
with
like-
Royal Rumble with Money in the Bank winners before. Edge has done it multiple times.
Yeah,
Has
and he
won
didn't
the
win.
Royal Rumble with the Money in the Bank
No,
briefcase?
he's never done it.
That's
He's
what
never won
I'm
it.
talking about with the Money in the
Yeah,
Bank.
with
That's
the
never been done.
briefcase. That's
Yeah.
the thing. What is it, like some sort of backup plan if she doesn't win the
Yeah,
Rumble?
absolutely. Absolutely. She just cashes it in. So really quickly, I just got to
Yes,
ask
we
you.
need to finish this Royal Rumble.
I got to ask you a question. What do you guys think about these women, the Bella Twins, Nia Jax, Sasha Banks? They're all coming out against Ronda Rousey. They're all saying how they don't appreciate how she overshadowed Asuka. She overshadowed all the women, the 30 women who fought so valiantly in the Royal Rumble, in the first ever women's Royal Rumble. What do you think about that?
Eric, I'll let you take this first.
quick question is.
I think it's hypocrisy at
well,
its finest.
Well, quick question is that, are they mad that she showed up after the match, or are they mad because she showed up overall, like she signed with the company?
I think it's both, honestly. I think it's honestly like overall, I think everybody's expecting number 30 to be Ronda Rousey. That's what I thought. I
Well,
thought number 30 was
I
Ronda
thought it was
Rousey.
going to be too.
Yeah.
Who was number 30
It was
again?
Trish Stratus.
Trish Stratus, yeah. She,
Yeah, you know what's funny? I was kind of disappointed, which is terrible that Trish Stratus came out. I was like,
Everybody
because
she
again,
got a pop though.
well, again though, because I knew she wasn't going to win. Ronda Rousey could have won if she came out. So I actually thought, obviously, you could put Trish Stratus in, obviously, anywhere else in that Rumble, just late at 20s. I did actually think that she probably should have been in at 30. I did think she probably
Right.
should have been in the Royal Rumble.
Well, this is going to go back to their claim on how they are mad over Ronda showing up. This isn't. I don't think this is anything new, because this also comes from the men too. Anybody who shows up from a rival organization or from a different sport, they're gonna get criticized. I mean, this goes back even before the days
Of WCW.
Yeah, WCW. I mean, even before social media, Big Show, he said it himself when he showed up in the WWF back then from WCW. He said that he got heat from the boys. He said that he got a lot of heat because he thought that they were going to take a spot, and he thought that new guy from WCW, he's probably going to take our spot. Same with DDP when he showed up after WCW collapsed.
That was more like the Undertaker.
Yeah, well, that was Undertaker, but
I'm be honest with you.
I'm pretty sure, like,
he ain't this paragon of virtue that we put out there.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
he ain't that paragon of virtue.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like most of the boys who all went from WCW to the WWE back in 2001, I'm pretty sure they got heat. But we didn't know anything about this because there was no social media.
Exactly.
There was no Facebook, no Instagram, no
There was
Snapchat.
no Sam Roberts interview.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
Sam Roberts, no nothing. So, to them, talking about Ronda, how they stole their spotlight or whatever.
Yeah.
It's been going on for quite a while. It's just that social media is just a platform for them
Yeah.
to put their grievances, and I just feel like, look, for Nia and the Bella Twins, I don't see them making a comeback.
So
because they're
Okay, hold on. Let me get me because you asked me. I agree with you. I stop bitching, okay? Women, just stop it. Nia Jax, if it wasn't for your family's name, you probably wouldn't even be in this company. I get it though. Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, and did Brie Bella complain or
it was the Bella Twins.
The Bella Twins,
both of them.
They both
and Sasha Banks. I get it. They've really earned their right. They didn't have any clout in the business. They worked their way up, so it's right for them to be mad. It's understandable, but you got to understand that Ronda Rousey's a draw, and look what Brock Lesnar's done. Brock Lesnar has been a draw. People watch pay-per-views because of Brock Lesnar. People are going to watch pay-per-views because of Ronda Rousey. And Nikki Bella should understand that because she's become more famous being on a reality show and being in the Oscars red carpet ceremony. So it's just, you're right. It's hypocrisy. Totally.
It's almost.
The question
is this turning into Ryan Rants, by the way?
No.
Okay, because I think didn't you say you wanted to talk about this on?
I wanted to talk about China.
You're
That's
right.
what I
You're
wanted
right.
to talk
Completely
about.
wrong.
The
My
ninth,
bad.
You're
the ninth wonder of the world, China.
Well, my thing with
Who's the eighth?
this situation, Andre.
Andre.
But
yeah.
Come on, bro. Get with it. But like my thing with this is that matchup, the women aren't getting this spotlight, and a lot of people have said this. The women aren't getting this spotlight if it wasn't for Ronda Rousey. Also, Sasha Banks, who is her cousin, Nick. Snoop Dogg, but that's not why she. That's but
not
then
why.
Again,
that's
Snoop
not
Dogg
why.
is everybody's
But that's
cousin.
not why. That's not why she moved up in the wrestling business, though, because she's Snoop Dogg's cousin.
Well,
I didn't even know that before she showed up.
Why
WWE had to tell us that. Nia Jax, I knew she was related to The Rock and all them.
Why was David Otunga still allowed to be on WWE television for so long when he was married to Jennifer Hudson? It was because, oh shoot, he's married to Jennifer Hudson. Maybe we can get her on our programming. So the WWE takes into account of all of those things.
Well,
you don't think the WWE
Well,
didn't
that's
know
not.
that?
But WWE isn't complaining about Ronda Rousey. Sasha Banks is.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
That's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
think, but I don't think Sasha Banks has used Snoop Dogg to elevate her career. It was only one WrestleMania where it was this cool thing, and Snoop Dogg came up with a rendition of her theme music that was cool. But besides that, she really hasn't been involved with him. And you don't think when I think of Sasha Banks, I think of Sasha Banks, the women's wrestler. I don't think of Snoop Dogg. When I think of Nia Jax, it is in my head that she's part of that really famous family, that Samoan wrestling family that's related to the Usos, The Rock, all them. So Nia Jax should not be complaining. She did not necessarily pay her dues like a lot of other people.
And that's what the WWE wants you to realize, that Nia Jax is a part of The Rock's family. Roman Reigns, a part of The Rock's family. Right. They're linked to The Rock. So you should cheer for these people because guess what? You cheered for The Rock when you were a kid, you know? But I see things a lot differently now. And in my opinion, in business, when somebody comes in from a rival promotion and you think they're threatening your spot, that's when your game has got to get better, okay? Yeah. What is your brand? Like, a lot of times people ask us, what is your brand? Like, they're going to ask us this question. They ask you this question all the time. Whatever. They're going to ask you this question all the time in your job interviews when you're going into our business, and you've got to be able to tell them what your brand. And maybe these women aren't secure in their brands because Ronda Rousey knows what her brand is.
I didn't know wrestlers did job interviews. They go in with a suit and they got a resume.
Well, you may not know that. I mean,
no. I'm pretty sure they try out.
In our media business, they're going to ask us what our brand is. And you know what? Maybe these women aren't secure in their brand. Maybe they don't know what their brand is. And you know what? Speaking of brand, we should definitely talk about this XFL thing because I think Vince McMahon is forgetting his brand.
We will. But are you're stopping your point right in the middle of it?
No, I'm trying to do a segue. That's what I'm trying to segue.
Okay, I got you. Well, we want to break.
Right.
Eric, do you have your indie news?
Yes, on what's happening.
Yes. So why don't we do that? This is Eric's unnamed indie news segment for the second time ever.
Yes, and for those who have seen EC3 at the attendance on NXT, we want to know. You want to know why he's there? Because he lost to Matt Sydal for the Grand Championship.
Oh, that's right. See, look at some of his news from last week is explaining why EC3 was there. That makes a lot of sense.
That's right. So that's the reason why he's in attendance. So who knows? We might see EC3 in action back with NXT. So keep your eyes for that. So Matt Sydal, he's the Grand Champion. And this is going to go out for Ring of Honor. For those who want to see on February 9th, the match It's going to be the SoCal Uncensored. It's going to be consisting of Christopher Daniels, Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky up against the Ring of Honor champion Dalton Castle and the Boys. That's his little tag team name. And it's going to be all at Honor Reign Supreme pay-per-view at February 9th. So check that out.
That's coming up.
Yes. And not only these guys are going to be headlining, but also the Bullet Club. Cody, or should I say the American Nightmare, Cody.
If I'm not mistaken, did Kenny Omega get kicked out of the Bullet Club this weekend?
I did hear about that.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
I didn't actually see it, but
Well,
I think he got kicked out of the Bullet Club.
I think it was Cody turning on Kenny Omega. I don't know if it was necessarily Kenny, because Kenny Omega started the Bullet Club.
Right. Yeah, he's the one.
I mean, you can't get kicked out, though.
Yeah, I think he might have messed up in one of the matches, but I'm actually gonna get to Kenny Omega in just a little bit.
Sorry about that.
No worries. So yeah, the Bullet Club are gonna be taking on Adam Page and the Kingdom, which is Matt Taven and Vinny Marseglia. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. And in AAA, it's going to be Hijo del Fantasma up against Tejano Jr., and it's going to be a mask versus hair match, all on March 4th, 2018. And Kenny Omega, he is hesitant to sign for the WWE.
Oh.
Yeah, the reason why is because lately he's been checking out the New Day's booking. He cites that the New Day are his 3 favorite wrestlers from the company. He believes that Biggie Langston, he is world championship material.
I agree with that too.
He should be world champion.
Yeah.
Kofi Kingston, he's a great overall wrestler. He can do it all, and he should go after the titles. And Xavier Woods, he's not only also pretty good in the ring, but he's also very confident on the mic. And seeing them in the same position that they've been in for quite a while, kind of makes him second guess, think twice in signing with these guys. So
Interesting.
But they're having fun though. And
yeah, they are
before
having fun.
They
Yeah.
were in a complete wasteland of mediocrity in that mid card. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if they didn't join together, then one of them would have been released. It probably would have been Xavier. So let's be honest here. Like the New Day saved each other's jobs. So
yeah,
but they found a way to get over now, like the Shield.
yeah.
Too.
Right.
The Shield guys were finding a way to get into the business in a way in NXT, and they obviously are now all 3 of them are stars.
Yeah, all 3 of them. I mean, they're having fun. This is their way of having fun. Big E, like the guy that you see on TV, he's the same guy that you see, outside the ring. That's how
I think
is.
all of them are.
Yeah.
All of them kind of just act like themselves, which is cool.
And check out also Up, Down, Down. If you love video games, Xavier Woods, he does an Up, Down, Down channel, which he does, and he's been playing Soul Calibur, and that's the guy that you see also in the ring. He's also that goofy guy, and all
I
3
can't
of them.
deal with his shoes though. His shoes piss me off every
his
match
shoes?
I watch.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
stupid elf shoes he wears.
Yeah.
I was like, I
What's
don't
up
know.
with the pancakes?
He
now?
can't get.
Yeah.
By the way,
Yeah.
Kofi stepping on a pancake, that's an elimination, dude. That's not
No,
your
that
foot
counts.
is no, it's not.
That counts.
Your foot is down, dude. That's an
It
accessory
has
on
to-
the
It
ground.
has to
You
be
mean
on
it's-
the ground.
It's an
The
excuse.
foot has to be
That
on
Kofi
the
Kingston
ground.
was eliminated from that
It's
Royal
on
Rumble
to
and
be
came
on the
back
ground.
in and just started beating people up.
Pancakes are not the ground, right? The pancakes are an item on
No,
the ground.
someone threw the pancakes on the ground and Kofi was stepping on it. Okay, I don't want to
This
hear
is going to be debatable in that one. So, and I want to ask you a question, Ryan. What's going on with Big E and Carmella, dude? I mean, those guys.
What?
Like, what's going on with
What?
those
Huh?
guys?
What?
I mean,
You say big cast, man.
no, I said Big E
You said-
and
Oh, well,
Big
they joined together in the mixed match challenge.
Yeah.
They're done now.
okay.
That's done now.
yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay. Because
yeah.
I thought to myself that like, wow, it looks like
Clearly, Eric does not watch
Hey,
the
don't-
Mixed
don't
Match
worry.
Challenge.
Hey, don't worry. I mean, I'm ready. Like when Carmella's ready, I'm ready. Like, when
That's
she's
kind of
ready-
stalkerish, right? That's kind of weird. Like you expect her to be outside the studio or something.
No,
Do you know something that we don't? That she's like outside
no,
waiting?
she can just slide in my DMs and I'm
Oh,
ready.
whoa.
I'm ready.
Carmella, it's really hard to find Ryan on Twitter because his account is private.
Yeah, I purposely
all-
don't want to do social media like
Yeah.
that. So
even though we have a podcast
I
that
don't
we
do
need,
DMs anymore.
even though we have a podcast that goes out to the world, Ryan will not unprivatize his Twitter. So if you want to follow him, unfortunately you
I'm
can't.
sorry.
But
Unfortunately,
if Carmella sends you a message, what are you?
you
gonna
won't
say?
know. You won't know.
I would know because you can accept it even if you don't follow them.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So,
I didn't know that.
like-
I don't know the world of DMs. I try to
Yeah.
stay out of people's DMs.
I've tried to
goes
stay,
bad.
I've tried to stay out of people's DMs
usually
lately.
goes-
Like
yeah.
for a while.
How did Eric's segment turn to us talking about DMs?
Well, it's his fault. He brought up
He
Carmella.
actually, you're right. He did bring up Carmella.
He knows Carmella is like my crush in the WWE. So
Absolutely. Okay, so
even if she is a Patriots fan, which I hate. I hate the Patriots.
she's from Boston, though. It's fair.
I hate the
Boston.
If people that are from Boston, it's okay to be Patriots.
okay.
But we're not going to start talking about
It's okay.
football.
I'm making an exception.
We're not going to
for her.
start talking
Yeah.
about football.
Right.
Oh, we are
Let's-
going to start talking
Oh,
about
you're right.
football.
We are. Yeah.
XFL.
We're not going to talk about
XFL.
the NFL. We're going to talk about the
XFL.
That was good. We didn't plan that either. So.
Wow.
If you think we plan this stuff, we don't.
Well, we did know that last week, like you said, Ryan, is that you knew that the XFL was being hinted all over, social media.
Everybody
That
and their
McMahon.
mom
We all
knew.
know. Yeah. So
Everybody and their mom knew. I think the biggest thing is when Vince McMahon and his company Alpha Entertainment brought the rights to the name the XFL, and He Hate Me, who, by the way, ended up playing for the Carolina Panthers.
He hate me.
I'm just
Doesn't matter
saying.
at all.
You
Doesn't
know,
matter at all.
I'm just throwing that out there. You know,
Matters to nothing we're talking about.
but yeah, at the end of the day,
Aaron Corbin played for the Cardinals. Do I bring that up?
oh yeah, that's
No.
true. Yeah.
No.
yeah, it's because the Cardinals suck. But anyway, getting back to
Ooh.
the
So you're
point.
saying that? Wait. That I didn't understand.
Oh
that.
boy,
So,
here we go.
Aaron Corbin
Yes.
playing for the Cardinals. How does that
cares.
have anything to do with the Cardinals?
He wasn't
Sucking.
noteworthy. He wasn't noteworthy.
At least we
Nobody
didn't lose to the
cared.
same team 3 times in one season.
Well, we're talking about the Saints here. At least we made it to the playoffs, bro.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
that's a good point.
You're gonna lose this one.
Hey man, what do? We just hired the Panthers coaches. That's all.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Okay, we'll talk about the XFL. Ryan, why don't you explain a little bit about what's going on with
I
the
mean,
XFL?
well, it's very simple. Vince McMahon is committed to right his wrong, and I think if he does
Just
things,
explain before you say your opinion. Explain the whole thing before you say your opinion.
okay. So, Vince McMahon is bringing back the XFL. It's with 8 teams. Okay, it's 10 weeks. It starts at the end of January, so it's about at the end of the NFL season. So they're trying to bring you back in at the end of the NFL season, like probably during the week when the Super Bowl, when there's no football on,
Exactly,
the
yeah.
Pro Bowl, which is going to interfere with the Royal Rumble, by the way. But
No, it won't.
we'll
You
see.
just tape one and you watch the other.
We'll see.
That's why it's WWE Network, though. So you can watch stuff on WWE Network, tape stuff on your TV, and just hit the mic.
Well, we'll talk about the WWE Network and the XFL in a second, because I think Vince McMahon has an opportunity with the XFL.
okay.
On the
but,
network, right?
But like, he says that he's giving football back to the fans. So what he's going to do is there's going to be anybody with a criminal record. You're not going to have an opportunity to play in the XFL. So that means Johnny Manziel is excluded from the XFL.
It's a damn shame.
Which I think is not good.
Yeah.
I think you need superstar players, and I think the XFL has got to be aggressive in going for coaches. Now, I'll tell you somebody who might might be a potential person for the XFL to target. You're going to think I'm crazy. You're going to think I'm high. You're going to think I'm drunk, but I don't care, okay? I've talked to my cousins
Just
about
say
this.
it, man.
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick.
Wow.
If I was Vince McMahon,
I'd be
and
pretty
he brought
awesome.
this up to me, and I wasn't even thinking. And I thought about it, and I was like, "That's a great point." We all know about the article with Bill Belichick being frustrated with Tom Brady and having to trade Jimmy Garoppolo and him wanting to set New England up for years to come. Why not go to the XFL? If they're throwing $100 million at you,
Exactly.
if
yeah.
Vince McMahon is throwing all that money at you and saying, "Hey, Bill, I want you to come coach one of my teams. I want you to bring your assistants. I want you to bring players with you." Why not do it? Like, if Vince McMahon is really serious about making the XFL legitimate and making it successful, you got to be the anti-NFL, but you've got to steal some of the things that the NFL does that made them successful for so
I'll
long.
tell you
at
this,
the same
man.
time.
I like that. I like that idea, and I like that would be obviously get eyes on the XFL. Bill Belichick. Why don't you bring Tom Brady over too? That'd be awesome.
Right.
It's not going to happen because Tom Brady is a legend in the NFL. I mean,
Well, Bill Belichick's a legend in the NFL too.
yeah, but it's more different with Tom Brady. Tom Brady is a superstar. Like, he transcends the Patriots organization now. He's getting to the point now where he's transcending the NFL. He's just Tom Brady.
Just the name let him
like,
So people like when they start watching football now, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, you guys want to watch Tom Brady this weekend?" It's not even gonna be, "Oh, let's watch football."
It's
Is
been
it,
like that
"Well,
for
you guys
years
wanna
in my
watch Tom
household.
Brady?"
Yeah.
It's been like years at that in my household. Like, oh, the Patriots are playing. Oh no, Tom Brady's playing.
Yeah.
Oh, we're playing Tom Brady this week. Jeez Louise. Like, but at the end of the day, man, I think also what Vince McMahon has to do is he has to really grab a hold of social media. He has to take advantage of social media. You know, one of the reasons why the NFL is starting to lose its popularity in American sports, obviously, one of the reasons is the protest.
Yes.
And I'm not going to get into it too much.
I've
but,
heard
you know,
actually a lot of people like say they don't watch the NFL because of that too.
I
So
think-
that's actually a problem.
and it's not
Hearing
because
about that,
and
yeah.
it's not because of what people are doing. It's because of the way it's been publicized
Yeah.
and the way, you know, people have thought, you know, it's been done the wrong way. But we're not going to really get into that as much as we're going to get into the fact that the NFL right now is not as social media savvy and is not as savvy with our generation of fans that the NBA is. So I don't know if you guys have seen these weird, awkward, like little NFL commercials, like with like rap music playing in the background.
Yeah,
with
they're
like,
weird. I
Like
don't
it's really
understand it.
weird. It's awkward.
They're
It's
trying
like
to get
in
to
the
our
middle-
base.
Yeah, it's trying to get to our
base.
base. And I'm just like, you know, like I'm starting to realize, man, the NFL is losing their grasp a little bit.
Yeah,
They're
I
losing their
agree.
grasp
I
a
agree.
little bit. Like a little bit. Like people are starting to see the hypocrisy of the NFL. People are tired of the Patriots winning all the time. You know, like it's getting ridiculous. Like I can't stand it.
It's getting stupid that the Patriots are in the Super Bowl every year.
It's annoying. You know, the only reason why I wanted the Patriots in the Super Bowl this year is so my Panthers can make it, but that's a story for another day. But like at the end of the day, when it comes down to it,
Another day.
like yeah.
What other day are we going to talk about the
When we
Panthers?
beat you guys again. But look, at the end of the
Little
day,
prediction right there.
when it comes down to it, I think the XFL has potential, but I think where Vince McMahon hurt himself is the protest thing. The protesting, him coming out and straight up saying, hey, look, we're not going to allow any on-the-field protests or any of that. You know, players can do whatever they want outside of the field, but on the field, you know, no protest. I think that might have killed him right there. I think that might have harmed him.
I agree. That was not a smart thing to say. I understand what he's getting at, that he just wants this to be about football, and he doesn't want this to be about social issues. But the NFL also doesn't want the NFL to be about social issues. And it's become social issues because of the way they've handled stuff. And I do agree with that. I think Vince bit himself right in the tongue when he said that.
But what about if Trump is backing this thing up?
I don't think he is.
Are you
I thought I
sure?
heard Vince say that Trump wasn't involved. They asked him a question. He said Donald Trump had no involvement. Really didn't even
Come
know
on,
about his
man.
decision.
They
are friends.
You can find
yeah,
ways.
well, that's why that Belichick thing might work, because I know they got that little circle of, well, Trump and Brady and Belichick, and then probably McMahon all know each other.
Uh-huh.
So you might have that little thing.
Well, what about also? Let's talk about crossover
By the way,
stars.
not a bad thing for Trump to get involved with the XFL, because you get so many eyes
No,
on the product
it
if
would be
Trump was involved.
It would be a terrible thing. Well, Trump can't afford to do anything because when they do the product in 2020, Trump is running for president again. He's trying to get a second term in. So Trump is going to be too busy trying to win an election.
That would be way later in the That'd be way later in the year, though. The
2020.
XFL season would be over by the time Trump would be running for president again.
Still,
If he does.
you've got to focus on that. But also, what about if LeBron James retires this year because
Oh
he's
my
a free
gosh.
agent
You really
this year?
think so?
See, now he's high.
See, this
Now
is,
he's high.
Shoot.
This is.
You haven't
Now
been.
he's high.
He's a free
Now
agent.
Roman Reigns is going to be a defensive
Right.
end.
Hold
Now
on.
Goldberg's
gonna
come
come
back.
back.
Quarterback.
Baron Corbin.
Yeah,
he's-
Baron Corbin's going to be a lineman.
Let me explain something.
You should stay with football players.
LeBron James has always wanted to play football, and what if Vince McMahon offered him a ridiculous amount of money for a 2-year contract in the XFL? Come play in the XFL for 2 years, just like MJ did it with baseball. 2 years. That's all you got to do. 2 years. If you don't like it, you can go back to the NBA. You can do whatever the heck else you want to do. Maybe you can have an ownership stake in the XFL. Vince McMahon has got to do something to get the eyes on the product. Another thing you can do, you can go to the draft. Okay, you can try to get players out of the way early. The only issue I have with the NCAA is that they've got a monopoly with the NFL. And the NFL has probably already went to the NCAA and say, if Vince McMahon and the XFL comes to you about trying to get players early, you know what our agreement is. We can try something.
What's the agreement between the NCAA and NFL? I don't know about this.
I mean, it's just basically a situation where they just hold the NCAA by the you-know-what. Like,
is this
come on.
you can say the word, Brian. It's
by the
not-
balls.
Yeah,
like,
by the balls,
come on.
yeah.
Like,
No, but-
great balls of fire. Like, come on, man. Like, come
Great
on.
balls of fire.
Like, goodness gracious. But, like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, I don't understand what Vince McMahon is going to do to elevate himself. But he has to be,
I agree.
he has to have some risk. And he also has to take a full-on step backwards from the WWE. I said this last week, and I'm going to say it again. If you want to let the XFL thrive and continue and be successful.
Have to focus
You've got
on-
one more year in the WWE. You let next year's WrestleMania, which is reportedly going to be in New York, MetLife Stadium. By the way, I don't know what it is with WrestleMania.
I thought it was
repeating
that or
himself.
Philly.
Yeah, it's confirmed to be in MetLife
Oh, it
Stadium
is?
now. Pretty
Wow.
much, it's pretty much a done
Okay,
deal.
I was
So
actually
they're-
wondering that last night. I was like, I wonder what WrestleMania is going to
Yeah.
be next year.
Yeah, so with that situation happening, you let next year be the last year of WrestleMania that you are producing, that you're fully in control of. And then after that, you either A, you sell the company, or B, give it to Stephanie and Triple H and Shane and let them run it. Because at this point in the game, you are at 72, 73 years old when the XFL opens. Your eyes have to be completely on this thing in order for it to succeed. And he's the sole owner of all the teams. Like, he's going to hire general managers, but he's going to be the sole owner of all the teams. So he gets to dictate the rules. So
I don't think Vince is in this alone, though, either. There hasn't been that much news, period, on this XFL. It was really just his press conference. Other than that, there
and
hasn't
that's
been
what
anything
worries
else.
me.
Well, yeah,
That's how the original XFL started. No big news
Good
announcement,
point.
then
No,
no
he was-
news.
He was
Well,
with
back in
Dick
the day, he
Ebersol,
did,
though.
you know?
He was with Dick Ebersol on NBC, and that's why That's why he had a TV deal in the first place. Was because he was doing it with his friend Dick Ebersol. He had NBC locked down, and Dick Ebersol and him both had clout in making money and making successful products, because the WWE was very successful back when he did, and WWE is successful now too. It's still a $1 billion company. So, but I just don't think there's been enough news to really be definitively
Right. He
saying
didn't-
that he's the owner of all the teams. That hasn't been
Right.
said
He just
yet. That's
gave an
assumption.
announcement, about what he's
Yeah.
going to do for the XFL. But geez, so I don't know. I've yet to explore for XFL, dude, because like the last time when that happened, yeah, it was a major failure. So like as far as like I'm gonna have to agree with Ryan on this one. He has to be like the sole,
You're saying
owner.
he has to leave WWE,
I think it's
Yes.
time to hang
or
it
at
up,
least,
dude. Yeah, I think
give up
it's-
head creative, right?
Yeah, I like something, dude, because like this is gonna go up to last week's comments, because his ideas has been so outdated, and that's the problem. I mean, he has yet to see, yet to figure out what to do with his company, and I really think he is financially insecure about himself.
Interesting.
There could be.
I don't think he's insecure with himself financially. I think if you got $100 million to just make your own league, you're not financially insecure. I do, however, think he's insecure with his legacy. Like I keep saying last week, his legacy. What is his brand? Is Vince McMahon just the wrestling guy, or is he the guy who did everything? He did movies, he did wrestling, he did football, he did everything else. He wants to leave a brand and a legacy that will last him the test of time. Somebody said, I think it was Dave Meltzer, who said that he always wanted to be the Walt Disney of wrestling. Like, he never wanted to be just the wrestler. He just never wanted to be the wrestling mind, the promoter. He wanted to be Vince McMahon, the entertainer. That's why they're no longer wrestling. They're sports entertainment. Everything like that has changed ever since Vince McMahon's come in the game. So I'm not necessarily surprised by this, but I'm just like thinking to myself, how insecure are you with your legacy? But let's talk a little bit about some more players. Let's talk about Dwayne Bowe. He said he would definitely play in the XFL if the money's right. What is the money going to be like with the salary cap? He talked a little bit about it, but I think it's still unsure. I think the greatest thing is players are going to be paid 52 weeks a year, I think.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens in the NFL. So, and then you get paid more if you win. And then Tim Tebow. What about if Tim Tebow came in the
You
XFL?
have to get Tim Tebow.
You have to go after him.
And Tim Tebow, he wants to still play too, and the NFL is not going to let him be a quarterback. So that's a spot. No, I like that. I don't know how well Dwayne Bowe will do. I mean, he retired from the NFL, didn't he?
He did, but 2 years is plenty of time to
How
get your
about
body in shape.
how about Chad Ochocinco?
Chad Ochocinco does not count because he has definitely some criminal
I didn't think
records.
about that.
Yeah,
I
he's
forgot about
definitely
that.
Chad Ochocinco doesn't count. And see that right there.
Pac-Man Jones ain't allowed to be in the league either.
Yeah.
Pac-Man Johnson.
And that right there is hurting you too. Like, a lot of these players, they've got some backgrounds that aren't too pleasant. They got some backgrounds that aren't
Which
nice.
is why, to be honest, I think that's another stupid thing about the XFL.
Yeah.
Like, I get if you don't want to allow abusers, domestic abusers, and people like that, or people that beat up their dogs and stuff. I can understand that. But
so
to
Michael
say
Vick
that
can't play.
But to say, well, of course not. No. But to say that if a guy literally has a DUI, because that's just honestly a DUI, and you might disagree with me on this. This is a mistake. That's a one mistake made on one night, to be honest. So to kind of not let it to kill a guy the rest of his life for that kind of stuff is a little petty. And I do think that a guy having one DUI, not that Johnny Manziel has one DUI, by the way, but I think him saying, oh, even if you have a DUI, you're not allowed to play in the league, I think that's a little ridiculous.
Well, I think a DUI has the potential to kill somebody, right? And I think in today's age, by the way, when we have Uber, we have Lyft, we have all these ride-sharing services.
True, but what if someone had a DUI when
DWA?
Uber and Lyft didn't exist?
Okay, well, I mean, guess what? You're still a dummy because
But
you have
do you think
cats.
they should never
You're
play
still
football?
an idiot.
But you think they should never play football in the XFL if they made that one mistake?
I think they should get a strike, a warning, a penalty,
Exactly.
like some type of severe punishment.
But,
I think
but
they should
not
be
play.
They should be going under test. And then also, there's other things he hasn't talked about. What is going to be your drug policy? What's going to be
he hasn't. He hasn't talked about any of that.
Yet. There's so many things. The rule books, where are we gonna go for where are we playing at? Like he hasn't picked teams yet. And he's starting to stink up in 2 years. So let's get the ball rolling right now. Time is not really on his side.
It's only been a week.
You think that time is on your side, but time goes just like that. And I'm telling you right now, 2019 is going to be here before you know it. And then it's going to be middle of 2019. And if we don't hear things about teams, if we don't hear things about locations, if we don't have big name signings going to the XFL in the next year, then this thing could be just as bad as the first one. And then he doesn't have a TV deal because all the networks are scared because of his first relationship in terms of the XFL with NBC. So NBC is definitely not going to come aboard on this. NBC was like, no, we're not doing that.
To be honest, back then I think TV was a little different. I think TV has completely changed now. There are a lot more channels, and he'll be able to get a deal with somebody.
He can go to Hulu. Hulu is interested in live sports.
You're telling me that Spike won't have them on TV.
Yeah, but Spike
or Paramount Network, whatever the hell it's called now.
Spike is Paramount Network now.
Yeah, but one of those channels. You tell me Vice won't put them on if they're you know what I'm saying. He'll be able to find a deal. I do think the streaming. You need to do the streaming. He mentioned that he's going to get involved in the streaming. He's going to be very social media savvy. Like you mentioned, the NFL's not very good with that, so he wants to do that with the XFL. But he'll be able to get a TV deal. Maybe not with the major networks, but I don't think he needs to. Not in today's age. Everyone has all the channels now.
I think I think at the end of the day, it's up to Vince on where he wants to navigate, but I don't think you want to go to a cable network. What the heck was that? I don't think you want to go to a cable
next
network.
door.
I don't know. Well, yeah, somebody's just going crazy. But I don't think you want to go to a cable network. I think you want to go to a major top 5 channel. ABC or ESPN. I would go to ABC or ESPN. They have a great relationship with the WWE. Hold on. They got a great relationship with the WWE.
Coachman.
Okay, they got a great relationship. Well, Coachman's now back at the Raw desk.
Yeah, exactly.
So they got a great relationship with the WWE. There's interest in getting a new TV deal of Raw, so you can definitely package that in as a deal. And I don't think this is ironic that the XFL is all of a sudden coming in to play right when the WWE's contract with NBC Universal was coming up.
I did not know that.
I don't think it's
Right.
ironic. I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, this is all about strategy, marketing, and how you can get the best price for your product as possible. And I think if he can get a deal done with Fox or ABC and ESPN, Fox really wants it, and Fox is willing to going to have to reduce Raw to 2 hours. I would be in favor of that.
You're saying for the whole just WWE.
Yeah, but you can also go to
I don't see them
rights.
leaving NBC. To be
you
honest.
can put all the XFL on Fox Sports 1, and you can put all the WWE stuff on Fox Sports.
Why can't you just put the XFL on NBC Sports Network?
Because NBC Sports Network did that the first time. It was a complete disaster.
Well, no, it was nationally televised before Saturday Night Live. That was their problem.
And it ruined.
But NBC Sports Network they have hockey games that are highly rated on their channel.
That's different. That was proven. This was an unproven league. They were desperate. They were desperate to get something. They didn't have anything at the time besides the Olympics. They didn't really have anything. They had no Sunday Night Football. They had just lost the NBA to NBC. They had lost the NBA to Disney and Turner. They had gotten full rights to those things. to that league and to those games. So at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, NBC Universal is not in the same position that they were in 2001. They're not desperate. They're not craving sports content. They can sit back and say, hey, we're not going to let you guys try to intimidate us just because you've got this new product and you want this new product to be broadcast.
But see, you're acting like
WWE.
WWE doesn't have a good relationship with NBC Universal.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
But the XFL almost ruined that relationship.
I think it's a different time now because it's going to be a different league. It's not going to be the same league where they're shooting up cheerleaders' skirts and have skits at halftime.
But what's your goal? Your goal is to be different from the NFL, right?
Correct.
You're still the XFL.
But you're telling me that if Vince goes, okay, let's make a deal for a season, NBC Sports Network or whatever channel in the NBC realm he wants to use, people are going to watch that first XFL game, right?
Obviously.
I'm going to watch that XFL game. Even if I wasn't a WWE fan, I would watch that XFL game.
Just be curious, I'd do it too.
Exactly.
I totally did, and the ratings were sky high for that first ever XFL game.
So, if it works and people like it, they're going to keep watching. So that's the risk NBC will take. I think Vince is a clearly different person now than he was back in the 90s, in the early 2000s. The league is going to be different. And I think his relationship with NBC Universal will only be a good thing for him. You're acting like they have a bad relationship, and NBC's waiting to get out of Raw. Raw, I guarantee, is driving up their ratings more than most of their other shows on NBC, to be honest, and the USA Network.
I totally agree, but the issue is...
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's the feeling that I felt after I watched that first XFL game. And bear in mind, I was like 7, 8 years old with my dad and my brother.
I was too young. I didn't watch it.
I was like thinking in the back of my head, and we all said this, we felt cheated. Like, we felt cheated. And plus, I was a huge wrestling fan. I mean, that was when wrestling was at its popularity height.
Right.
And, like, everybody was questioning the legitimacy of the product because The Rock was showing up. And I loved it personally as a fan, but now looking back at it and looking at this is the XFL, which I also think it's kind of ironic. I don't think it's necessarily ironic. I think a lot of things are planned, and that's why I'm saying that the WWE has a good chance of going to ESPN, or the XFL has a good chance of going to ESPN. There are rumors going around with ESPN and their massive deal with the NFL. Apparently, there's some rumors going around that ESPN's a little disgruntled with that. They're not making the money that they used to be making. Disney has a new streaming platform service that's coming out next year, and they're going to need content. What better way to put content on your station than a new or a streaming service than a new league? A new league, you need content, you need people. This could help people get back in the workforce in our industry, the media industry. Why not bring the XFL to ESPN or to streaming platform services? This is the perfect timing for that. So I think ESPN airing that this is the XFL thing was good too, and it helped Vince McMahon too, because it brought in the eyes, people started talking about the XFL again, started having legit conversations. So Vince is like, oh, so there's still an interest in this product. People are still disgruntled with the NFL, and not like the XFL had bad ideas too. There was a lot of things that the XFL did that was great. Let's look at the Sky Cam. The NFL has stole that.
There's a ton of stuff.
The Sky Cam has been fantastic. What else? The passing game, what else?
Like cameramen following players on the field. That's another one. You see that every week.
Mic'd up. Getting mic'd up. Obviously they did that during the time, but you had more exclusive access.
I think the XFL really pushed it, though.
Yeah,
to be honest.
And they really pushed it. So there's a lot of things that the NFL stole. So I don't think the XFL was a complete failure. There was a lot of good things that they did. They could have just been managed better. They could have used more time. And honestly, Vince McMahon should have stepped away from the WWE at that moment. If there was any time for him to step away, it would have been that moment. You give it to one of the people who you're working with, maybe a Bruce Pritchard or somewhere else. Someone else.
Your son Shane.
Your son Shane. My son Shane.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think the XFL has potential, but Vince McMahon has to take the necessary steps. And because I don't think Vince McMahon is willing to take the necessary steps, I don't think we're going to see it. I think the NFL.
You don't think the XFL is going to even exist?
I think it's going to exist for only 1 year, just like its previous, its predecessor.
Wow.
Interesting.
Damn.
Hot take.
And he has no other choice but to make this succeed because of the financial risk that it will cost him. Because the first time around, it was just half him and Dick Ebersol. Now it's just Vince McMahon.
Well, again, this is initial, though. It's only been announced for a week, so we don't know 100% if there is other people behind this. And maybe it's
He said it. He confirmed it was only him.
It was only him?
It was only him.
See, I just don't believe that.
He says he wants to know that.
I also think eventually Vince will change and let people with criminal records into the league. Once he
He'll
realizes
probably
that,
have to soften his tone on that one.
yeah, exactly. I think he kind of said a couple hardline things to get a base of people to start following and be like, okay, maybe I'll like this. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll like this. But I do think he'll eventually. He's done that in the past before too with WWE, where he said stuff and then the exact opposite happens a couple months later.
I know.
So it's not.
It's nothing new. So
Yeah, it's his league. He can do whatever the hell he wants. So, but should we transition?
It seems like people also aren't questioning the legitimacy of the XFL like they were before. I guess that means wrestling's popularity is still it's another confirmation that wrestling's popularity is not as big as it was in 2001.
Right.
Well, that's clear.
That's a
but
fact.
I do think a lot of that has to do with just there being more TV shows to watch, to be honest, and the fact that pretty much everyone knows it's fake now. When
Don't you dare say
when
fake.
I say
Scripted.
fake, scripted, you know what I mean. It's like I said, call women divas, same thing. But let's transition. We're going to transition into Nick's completely random, non-wrestling or MMA topic of the day. I actually have two that I'm going to do today. And the first one is going to be I was switching over on Monday to potentially watch Raw. And in my household, I have Cox Communications, and they only let you tape two things at one time.
That sucks.
Okay, it sucks.
That's why I
we're
don't
trying
have
to
Cox
get we're trying to
anymore.
get DirecTV as quick as possible because of this. So when I turn on my TV a lot on Mondays at about 9 o'clock, there's two things that are on my TV. One is Raw, and I have to, make sure that when I turn on the TV, I change the channel really quick, or turn on my DVR and put something on real quick so I don't see Brock Lesnar potentially wrestling Goldberg on Monday Night Raw. I just don't want to give away
Don't wanna
something
miss
that's
that out.
happening in the 9 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
What I hope turns on is The Bachelor, because The Bachelor tapes in my house. My sister tapes The Bachelor. My mom watches it occasionally too. So I'm always hoping Channel 7
She doesn't
is
live
on.
with you though.
So a lot.
Why is she taking
I know,
your
but she
shows?
comes back. I know I have to erase it but I keep forgetting to erase it off the tape. Not the point. The point is, sometimes when I'm just eating dinner and there's nothing else to watch, I will just sit down and watch The Bachelor because of the way the Cox Communications works on my TV.
Right.
So I was watching The Bachelor the other day. Very stupid show. Like, I don't understand why it's so popular. These women are acting completely fake the entire time. But not my point. My point is the question for you two. If you had to pick one reality show to be on, which one would you be on? And you can't say Total Divas.
Oh,
Okay?
took mine.
So each of you say one.
I know this is crazy, but I used to watch this show called Party Down South on CMT.
Okay.
And it's crazy too because they're all Republicans,
the one you would
Donald
be?
Trump supporters, man. But that just seems like a really
That's
cool
totally an
tip.
assumption,
Right.
by the way. That's totally an
No,
assumption.
I follow them. I
That
used to
was-
follow them on Instagram, and I blocked a lot of them. But
Block, why don't you just unfollow him? Why do you have to block him?
oh, I straight up blocked them.
Okay.
But
Well, go on.
I was just like, oh my goodness, they're just having a good time, man. They're just turning up like in the middle, and it actually makes summers in the South seem fun.
Right.
Ryan,
'cause I ain't from the
Ryan
South.
is from the South,
and
by
it's
the way.
not
Ryan
fun.
is from
It
North
is
Carolina.
not that enjoyable.
Dude, you would have. I kind of see you more with maybe competing with that show, I Love New York. Do you remember that show from VH1?
Did I have cable at that time? I don't know if I had cable
You
at that
probably had-
time. Maybe I did.
I love New York. I've never even heard of that before.
Yeah.
No, that's where David Otunga came from, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where he came from.
I used to watch Ocho Cinco, The Ultimate Catch on VH1.
Uh-huh.
I used to watch that way back in the day. I used to watch that religiously. And then the Travis Kelce one, that's a good one. Like the Travis Kelce.
Which one would you be on, though? Which one, if you had to pick one?
Party Down South.
Party Down
Party
South.
Party Down South is
What-
fun.
what would
Bunch of
yours-
cute
what would
girls
yours
in there
be?
and everything.
Does Broken Skull Ranch count?
Broken Skull Challenge.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to.
It's
It's
more
not
of a
necessarily
game
a
show.
game show. Yeah, I'm going
Yeah.
for more of like a Kardashian style.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, I actually used to watch the Osbournes with.
Osborne.
Yeah,
Okay, so
when-
you would want to be on that one?
Maybe
Very
like maybe
interesting.
make
Yeah,
maybe
that's-
like
that's-
maybe make like a cameo. Who knows? I mean, like I used to think like, oh, that's sweet. I get to actually explore what Ozzy does, in his
Yeah.
household. The Osbournes. I wasn't really into the real world back in the day, but they were. there were some moments where it was pretty
The
cool.
Miz.
You know, that's where the Miz came from.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
the
I
real
forgot
world.
about Jersey Shore.
So
Like,
Party
screw
Down
that.
South. Would you pick Jersey Shore instead?
no, I would still put Party Down
Okay,
South.
Party Down South, the Osbournes. I'm actually gonna go with another CMT show. You guys ever seen that show Redneck Island before?
I have, yeah.
Dude, that show was
With the Texas-
that show was awesome. Well, Stone Cold was the
With the
host.
Texas
That's the only reason I
rattlesnake
watched it. But it actually was pretty fun. Those guys just literally drank and just had
But-
fun like every single day.
Yeah.
And the show was interesting. And a lot of Southerners in it. I don't know those people as well as you do, Ryan, because I'm not from the South.
Yeah.
But it did seem fun to me, so I would have to pick Redneck Island. That was me and my brother used to watch
So you-
that.
so you get to
that
hang-
and Total Bellas like every Tuesday.
Total
Redneck
Bellas.
Island, Total Divas.
They had a Party Down South 1 and Party Down South 2. I don't know why, but Party Down South 2 just appealed to me more. And like it had this girl named Ashton, but like she's married now and she's having a kid and whatnot. But like I had a huge crush on her back in the
Wow.
day.
You still have
Like,
a crush on her. You don't have to.
I thought
Just because she's married doesn't mean
she's
you have
married
to.
and she's pregnant, you know, so she's clearly out of bounds, like,
That's
and she's
pretty hard.
and she's in love with
when
her
she's
husband,
pregnant, it's tough.
and I'm very happy. Like I look at her social media, I'm like, oh, I'm very happy for you. Like I see her post all the time, gorgeous girl, you know, and I like Party Down South. Like both of them.
I liked Redneck Island,
I
too.
liked Madeline
It's a
from
stupid
Party Down
show.
South. I thought she was cute because for whatever reason I like brunettes. But like, I mean, so at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, Party Down South. I don't know why. I was just kind of addicted to that show, like for a good minute there, and then they ended it right when I was.
I think Redneck
watching.
isn't on TV either. The Osbournes,
yeah.
it's all the shows.
Yeah,
they
Osbournes
made,
is
right?
done. I'm just talking
See,
about
all the
like
shows now
old
suck.
shows.
That's the thing.
But that's
They
just
all-
reality television,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like you find your little guilty pleasure, and then you move on. They kick it out.
Interesting. All right, my second. This is real quick. Super Bowl picks.
Why we gotta talk about the Super
I'm
Bowl?
just real quick. No, just Super Bowl picks. Who do you pick to win?
I'm gonna go with the Eagles.
Eagles. Who you
Wow.
going?
Pick your poison.
You
Wow,
know who I'm
which?
gonna pick.
Damn it. As much as I can't stand Patriots, and I can't stand them win every single Super Bowl. Damn it, dude! I'm gonna have to go with Eagles on this one.
Yo, you going with the Eagles?
I'm gonna have to betray you on this one.
The way you phrase that, you act like you were sad
It's
about
like,
it.
what do you-
I told him
it's like,
so.
what do you want-
Like,
what-
he double betrayed us.
It's like, what do you want? Slow death, or do you
double
want,
swerved us.
or instant death? What
That
do
was
you
a
want?
little switcheroo he played on me right there. I thought he was going to say the I
What's
think
up,
the
Vince Russo?
Patriots are going to win. Okay, it's not. I don't want them to win, but the Patriots are going to win. And, Tom Brady, Scott. All right,
I can't.
back
do
to our
this.
back to our third topic. We're back to wrestling. Well, actually, not even back to wrestling. Back to MMA
Yeah.
now and boxing. Eric, why don't you explain what we're going to talk about in the third segment?
Well, so we're gonna be talking about Stipe gonna go up against DC. What's going on? What's
that's
going on, dude?
That's
I mean,
a heavyweight fight, but
yeah.
you mentioned the boxing too. Just
Yeah.
list exactly what we're going to talk about first, and then we'll get into it.
So we're going to be talking about, of course, Stipe and DC, and we're going to be talking about Triple G up against Canelo Cinco de Mayo, May 5th this year, and it's going to be the second fight that is going to be taking place. Of course, the match ended up with a draw the last time on
Yes.
the 16th of September between Triple G and Canelo. A very controversial match.
Fantastic fight. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, we all watched that fight together.
Yeah,
which is
we all
rare.
did.
We don't get together a lot to
Yeah.
watch stuff.
Right,
So we all really can comment on what happened during that fight
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So why don't we start with that first, since that's more
A little bit recent right now.
more recent news. Triple G and Canelo fighting again. I'm excited. That first fight was amazing, and it was a good fight because Mayweather and McGregor kind of was a shit show, to be honest.
It was a
like,
spectacle. And
Yeah.
then
More
this
of a
was-
spectacle than.
And that
yeah.
show wasn't even sold out. Mayweather McGregor wasn't sold out, but the
That's
Canelo
just because
Triple
it was
G.
too expensive.
That was sold
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
I think if the tickets are normal, I think it sells out. Canelo and
Yeah, with a Mayweather
Yeah.
fight, you're guaranteed to see those prices, those tickets, and those when you order the fight, you expect them to be expensive. Okay, that's why people went on to watch Canelo versus Triple G, and
Exactly.
it sold out. And I gotta say, man, it's that fight between Triple G and Canelo. It was I would have to say, man, and this is gonna go back in the 16th of September. Even though I was behind Canelo in this one, I gotta be fair. Triple G, it looks like he had the match won. He was the one who was giving just more knockout blows, trying to
Yeah.
throw more punches than I thought. And like he said that he wanted Mexican style, so I gave it to him. I gave him Mexican style, and and then there was a draw for that match, and I just thought to myself, wait, what's going on? And then, at the same time, it's kind of like a marketing tool there because we don't want to see. There are people out there who don't want to see any of these guys lose. So why not better than just to end in a draw, and expect more people to, give them more as like maybe a second match, or who knows, maybe after this match we might see a trilogy after this.
I think you will no matter what, because
Right.
you're going to have a winner or another draw, and now that they had the first fight that really didn't count in a way.
Right.
This is almost like the first fight again, and let's say Triple G wins, then everyone's gonna be like, okay, let's see Canelo. Let's see if Canelo can win. Then maybe you
Right.
have the fourth fight.
It's kind of like
yeah, it's getting ridiculous.
It's kind of like with the same thing with Pacquiao and Marquez when they went at it for, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, and then finally Marquez knocked out Pacquiao, and after that Pacquiao never answered for a rematch after that. So, who knows? Like this bout that is going to take place, it's going to be off the chart. And this time they say that there's not going to be any draws on this one, from what Canelo says. There's not going to be
totally.
anything to hold me back.
So 2 questions real quick.
Yeah.
If you're a fighter, if you're Canelo, you're Triple G, number one, what do you do different? What is the strategy that you use to kind of catch your opponent off guard from the first matchup? And number 2, there's a bidding war going on between Madison Square Garden and T-Mobile Arena. As a boxing fan, who would you personally like to see get that match? Would you like to see the Madison Square Garden, which is just the mecca of everything, sports and entertainment? Or would you like to see T-Mobile Arena just because it's in Vegas and, every big boxing match has to happen in Vegas?
You know what's funny? With boxing and even UFC, I really care less where it is. It's unless there's a home field advantage. Like if you're going to put Conor McGregor in Boston, that's a home field advantage for McGregor. It's Irish fans, so that's a little different. If you're going to put George St. Pierre in Montreal, okay, there's going to be a
got the
crowd
Canadian,
cheering for him. But as far as the venue itself, you're just looking at a ring. You're not looking at the arena. It's not like basketball where you see a court and stuff like that, and it's not like even wrestling where they can kind of initiate the arena into the whole thing.
Or Dodger Stadium, when the Dodgers play.
Exactly. Yeah. It just doesn't matter as much. And I would personally like to see it in Las Vegas because fighting is meant to be in Las Vegas, not New York. But Madison Square Garden wouldn't mean much. I'm just not thinking anything too into it. I just don't think that matters.
I think I'm going to have to go with probably. I think either arena is either okay. I'm fine with either arena because a lot of famous boxing fights have happened in Las Vegas, and New York City, Madison Square Garden. It's pretty much like the cathedral of any sport or anybody who's even fought or even performed there as an artist, a fighter, or anybody. When you think of Madison Square Garden, you think of Muhammad Ali, you think of all these great fighters, and I'm gonna have to go with maybe Madison Square Garden just to change it up a little bit, just to give it a little bit more flavor, because I know a lot of fights have always been held, like for UFC and boxing, all of them in Las Vegas. I just want to see for boxing and MMA to change it up a little bit, because I know a lot of fans pay to see these fights, not just from the West Coast, like in Nevada or in California. I think also New York fans also deserve fights like this. They've been here and there. They do enjoy watching boxing fights, but a big fight like Canelo and Triple G, they want to see them. They pay to see these guys, and they believe that Madison Square Garden, it's a draw. Like the name Madison Square Garden, it's the cathedral. Like I said, it's like the holy place to hold fights or any
Is it the
show.
holy place to hold fights though, or is it more like wrestling? I always see Madison Square Garden as a wrestling place,
see it as
and
anything.
Vegas is like I don't see Vegas as a wrestling spot.
Right.
Well, you remember USC was not allowed to be in Madison Square Garden for the longest
Correct.
time. So when they got an opportunity to go to Madison Square Garden, it was a big deal. And now the WWE is transitioning out of Madison Square Garden onto Barclays Center. So I think Madison Square Garden now that you don't have the WWE kind of trying to completely, totally just own that place, I think it's more imperative that you have more boxing combat sports there. You've got to have UFC there. You've got to have boxing there. And that's why I think if you want to reestablish Madison Square Garden as the place to go for all combat sports, then you've got to have Madison Square Garden have this big fight.
Yeah.
You got to have it. It used to be like that back in the day before Vegas was established, and we moved out to Vegas. Then Tyson did that. Tyson started bringing fights out of Vegas and making it big. Now we've got to get these fights kind of evenly distributed among the East and West Coast. We can't just keep going to Vegas. We got to go out to Madison Square Garden and do a fight there. I think that's big time. I think that's huge.
New York City, man. When you think of New York, you think of hip hop. You think of those guys.
Wait, what was that?
I know, but I just want to add that in.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, the artists that performed there, Bruno Mars, Michael Jackson. You've got Jay-Z. You've got Kanye, Bruno. You got all the superstars that performed. Beyonce, Katy Perry.
Bruno man, really a Bruno Mars fan. You said him twice.
I said Bruno Mars. I saw
Bruno. Jay-Z, Bruno Mars.
I saw something with Bruno. Somebody's trying to compare Bruno Mars and saying that he's the Michael Jackson of our era, and I got
way off
so
topic.
Angry.
Getting way off topic.
I'm sorry.
We're talking about
that can be held for another conversation.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Rant about that if you want later.
I'm just saying.
You still got your second coming up. Okay, but
yeah,
I see your guys' points about this though, because if Tyson did it. The one thing about this is really the only legit boxing match you're going to get right now.
Right.
With Mayweather gone, I can't think of another two boxers you could put in the ring together that would really get this much hype and you'd be able to even sell out Madison Square Garden. So if you have the chance, I say go for it. So I'm going to change my mind actually a little bit. I think it actually should be in Madison Square Garden because thinking about it, this is the only fight that could happen that's that big. And Vegas, you're right, does get a lot of fights. They get a lot of UFC fights. They get most of the other boxing. So might as well have this big fight in New York since the last one was in Vegas. So I'll change my mind.
Right.
You guys actually
just to change it up a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
That would be good, you know. I know, just they need it. I think New York City needs it.
Strategy then.
Yeah.
What would you do differently? To
be honest, these guys are so even. I just think being the guy with the most energy, keeping your endurance up to where you can have your full punching power the entire fight. I just think that's the only way you can really improve because these guys are so even. I can't give a legitimate way for Triple G to beat Canelo. I can't give a specific way for Canelo to beat Triple G. I do think Canelo has the better chance of knocking out Triple G because of how hard he can punch and some of those power punches he can give off. So I think if you're Triple G, you definitely want to avoid that. But I just think each guy's endurance, if you can take punches, if you can last all 12 rounds and still be at top form, I think that's the way you can win these fights. But, man, I couldn't pick a winner right now. I don't think I'm going to be able to really pick a winner later, too. I think I picked Canelo last time, if I'm not mistaken.
You picked
Canelo. I went
Canelo.
with Triple G.
You went with Triple G.
You went with Triple G.
Yeah.
So we both were right. All of us were right about the picks. But, yeah, just thinking about it right now, I just think if you can keep your endurance up, be able to have your full punching power the entire fight, that's what I think could give you the edge over the other guy because if the other guy isn't ready and doesn't have as much endurance, that's the way you're going to win the fight.
Canelo has an edge in this one. I think towards the end of that first fight, Canelo started taking control more and more, and I think Triple G kind of wore down a little bit. So I think in this one, I think Canelo's going to come out a little bit more aggressive, and I just don't think Triple G has the weight on him too as well to kind of last with Canelo. He looks like he's a little skinny. He looks.
Definitely.
He looks a little undersized compared to Canelo. So that's just what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's gonna be a great matchup.
No, it's definitely gonna be a great matchup. I just have to, for Triple G, he just has to be a little bit cautious if Canelo's gonna go at him because I know he's gonna go, straight forward, and I'm pretty sure Triple G is gonna say, hey, so you want a Mexican fight? Then I'll give you a Mexican fight. And so I'm pretty sure he's going to also do the same thing too. Triple G's going to go straight at him, and strategy-wise, maybe around the 5th round or the 6th round, I'm pretty sure these guys, they're probably going to maybe slow it down a little bit, and then after that they're going to go at it around the 11th or 12th round around there, and I think we might reach to a unanimous decision I don't really see it
I see
go,
that too. I don't see either.
I don't see it go to like a knockout. I don't see that. I'm gonna have to go with a unanimous decision on this one. So, what about you, Ryan? Do you believe it's gonna be on a decision or knockout?
Decision.
Decision?
With Canelo
Yeah, I agree
winning.
with that too.
With
Yeah.
Canelo
You're
winning.
saying Canelo winning right now?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's
under,
too hard for me to pick.
Right.
Yeah.
It's too hard for me to pick right now.
Wait a minute. I'm not gonna say anything. I want to change.
No, you
it.
already
Just
said it.
say-
You already said Canelo. No, I already said Canelo. Yeah, you can change your opinion later. I just changed my opinion on Madison Square
I
Garden.
might have to change it.
We're not, you know.
Let me look at the teletape and let me look how these guys look going into the weigh-in too.
Yeah. But so let's transition. There's another big fight that was announced. Daniel Cormier, the UFC light heavyweight champion, taking on Stipe Miocic, the UFC heavyweight champion, I presume in a heavyweight fight. This is, to be honest, and you can agree with me on this, Eric, this is the best fight you could have came up with. These are the best two fighters in the UFC right now.
Yeah, this is gonna be all-out war. Just DC has to watch out for Stipe because of his weight advantage.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have to use a lot of wrestling to take down Stipe because you're dealing with a heavyweight.
And Stipe is a good wrestler too, though.
He
This
is,
is why this makes this fight
This is
so
gonna
interesting.
be evenly matched.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, and Stipe, even though he's got also the weight and the wrestling advantage, he's also has to deal with DC's wrestling and his speed as well. So he's gonna have to work on ground techniques and also try to keep him down and try to position him. Same with DC, but he's gonna have to work on his legs. Maybe double leg him as if he can. That's the thing.
This
if he
is
can.
why I'm so excited about this fight because you think about it. Daniel Cormier is getting off this huge rivalry with John Jones. He's never beat him, right? He keeps losing. He's crying after the fight, like I mentioned last week, and then he beats Volkan Ozdemir a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And he solidifies himself as the light heavyweight champ again. Everyone's like, okay, he's still that good. You saw the difference between him and Ozdemir in that fight. He's legit. But he can't lose again, right, to a superior fighter. He can't lose again to a guy that's perceived better than him.
Yeah, he's going to
Stipe Miocic.
Yeah.
But Miocic can't lose to a guy that's at a lower weight than him, can he? You can't lose to the heavyweight champ can't lose to the light. This is why this fight is so interesting because both guys can't afford to lose this fight.
I know. It's everything is almost on the line. So
it's so interesting. Good job, Dana White.
I know. This is going to be awesome. And Dana, as much as this guy, he makes all these. He always has the final say in all this. I know he does his best to try to deliver as many good fights as he can. Than boxing, because in boxing there's always so much time. Like you have to wait for like the right.
And there's more UFC stars than there is boxing stars right now.
For boxing, you have to wait maybe a year or a couple more months for a big fight to happen. UFC, they've been doing it so beautifully well. It's been doing well done by putting in like these matches, and then after we just got off of Ngannou and Stipe and DC and Volkan.
Fantastic card.
It's fantastic card, and then we just came off of that, and then now we're gonna have Stipe and DC. Wow, that's a big major match. That they announced.
Well, that is happening in July, so it's not like it's happening right now.
No, yeah,
and they're fighting for more than $500,000 too. So let's not forget that.
Gotta be a lot of money to be slapped on the.
Exactly.
I know, right?
Don't ever sleep on the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Just either way, either win or lose, they're gonna be carrying it. They're going to be walking out of the arena with a big sack full of money.
Absolutely. What's your take on it, Ryan?
My take on it is a great matchup for UFC. For a person like me who is more of a casual fan.
You don't follow it as much.
Yeah, I don't follow it as much. But, when I heard this matchup, and especially seeing as you guys predicted this last week, when I heard this matchup, I thought, I've got to watch that in July. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think these guys are pretty much evenly matched. I think I'm going to go with... what's his name? Cormier.
Or DC.
You call him
DC. Oh, I like DC. So yeah, I'm gonna go with DC over what's how you say his other name?
Stipe Miocic.
Miocic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over
or call him Stipe.
DC over Stipe. Okay.
See, that's why when he did the announcement, he said Stipe and DC. He wanted to screw it up.
Yeah. The last name is always it's always gonna mess you up. But just go by his first name.
Yeah, but it's a good decision by Dana White. I think the UFC is just constantly doing things, that just beats certain other rival promotions, even within their
He's talking
own
shit on WWE again.
sports or outside of their sports. I'm just saying.
Well,
they're always doing something smart, and they're borrowing from those previous successors to kind of make their brand even more important and make their stars even more larger than life.
I mean, I never see UFC ever having a feud with the WWE. It's just the fans. They always tend to have that argument, which is better.
Yeah,
but
totally
it's just like you can't really have this sort of feud with the UFC and WWE. It's almost like comparing like different food brands.
It's like comparing the NFL to the XFL.
Yeah, it's almost like comparing to that. Almost like it,
It's like comparing WWE to TNA.
Yeah, and Dana, he said himself, he doesn't see himself feud with any of these guys. He's had good relationships with them, but what he's doing is totally different, and Vince is doing something else different too.
Yeah. No, someone yelled in the next studio again. So we're trying not to laugh.
What the heck be going on?
They're having fun out there.
They are having fun. Yeah, we're having fun here too.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
But no, this is a big fight. It's happening on International Fight Week in July. I'm hearing that this card is going to be a super card too. Like they're going to put 2 other title fights on it potentially.
Would you like CM Punk to fight in this fight? In this card?
Might as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
bro, okay. UFC. What UFC is this? Is this 226?
226.
And it's in July. Do you think Brock Lesnar will be there? Do you think CM Punk will be there? Do you think Bobby Lashley will be there?
Bobby Lashley. No, I see Bobby Lashley come to the WWE before he comes to
Bobby
UFC.
Or Bellator.
Yeah, for Bobby, I see him more with Bellator. Brock Lesnar, as far as getting juiced up, we're gonna find out.
I think the suspension's over now.
Yeah, I keep forgetting.
So one thing about being a WWE superstar is that you just get rid of that suspension real quick, whereas John Jones kind of just got to sit on that suspension.
And this is right after WrestleMania, so I think it's best off, better off for him to maybe pick a fight, but as far as like, is your suspension even over? Like, are you clean? Are you clean? Like, if you're clean, let's do it. We'll put you on the card.
Exactly.
Let's do it. And Jones, another guy. He's also another guy who has to get
Jones
over.
ain't gonna be on 226. I guarantee that. Unless they say that his
might not be on 326.
At
this point,
exactly. That was a good one. But,
a couple more years.
Yeah, excited. That's two. I always love when you can look forward to stuff like this. So we're gonna wait till May and July, and you got WrestleMania in April and stuff like that. But we have some good events coming up, month after month, and I'm always excited when they announce super fights. And to both of these events we're talking about, one boxing, one UFC, are super fights. WrestleMania is a huge card. So even though there's no football, this is why these things happen in the spring and the summer, because there's still stuff to watch. So
yes, right. Absolutely.
I'm definitely excited about those two things. Ryan, we will end off the podcast, but we need to finish soon with Ryan Rants. We'll let you finish off the podcast.
I'm the ending.
Let's turn the mic toward
the
Ryan.
main event.
Real quick, here's the main event of the evening.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about China, the 9th wonder of the world. The world. Did I say the world or the war?
You got it right.
Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, China. Okay, so apparently the WWE is finally cool with mentioning China after all these years. I wonder why. Is it because allegedly Stephanie McMahon cheated with Triple H? Is it because there's a possibility that maybe we're thinking here that because of all these things that happen, we think it's now acceptable to bring her back in the fold with us promoting women? I mean, China was one of the biggest revolutionary women in the WWE, so I'm just wondering, why did it take them so damn long to find a person to mention China's name? Why did it take them so damn long? So at the end of the day, I just have to ask this. Why? Why now? Why not do it earlier? Why not mention her name earlier? I get it. She has a past, but everybody has a past. Everybody has history, and there's been a lot of things said on both fronts. That's what I'm saying, allegedly. Okay, I didn't come out and say anything was a fact. There's a lot of alleged things that's happening. Stephanie and Triple H have said their side of the story. China said her side of the story. You know what? Only God knows. Only God knows. But at the end of the day, why wait to mention her name right now after all these years? Let's start giving this woman the credit she deserves. Let's put her in the Hall of Fame, and let's put her name to rest.
And I want to add to that is like,
Nick got scared for a second. He thought I was making accusations.
I want to add to that because I grew up, watching China. I actually thought at the time that she not only won the IC title, but I thought she was capable of maybe winning the big championship, the WWF championship.
Yeah, I don't mean this in any offensive way, but she, like, back in the day, she was one of the guys. Like, she was. No, she can. She could wrestle with anybody, and I thought it was legitimate.
She can hang, and definitely she can hang, and she was awesome. I thought that she was like the Wonder Woman of the company. I thought so too at the time, But to Ryan's point, I think that what took them so long, I don't know, man. A lot of people, when they pass away, they tend to acknowledge them a lot, and
they don't want to acknowledge her quickly,
it's funny because if she was still around, they wouldn't acknowledge her. I'm pretty sure.
No.
By the
way,
they would
don't
not
acknowledge her because she did porn. That's mainly why they don't acknowledge her anymore.
Well, how many other superstars have done bad things too?
Yeah,
have been acknowledged.
Well, I mean, X-Pac was on Raw 25 and he was in a porn video with China.
It's definitely.
So explain to me how we can't mention her throughout all these things. Now,
we can. They
it's just sad. It's just sad that the WWE is doing this now, and they're trying to capitalize on this publicity with women, when really China was the one who kind of started this all. And really got people, into the product. If it wasn't about the men, it was about watching China perform. She was a huge superstar, got great reactions from the crowd, both from men, women, kids. It's just sad to see. And I'm happy that they're mentioning her now, but I'm just like, what took you so long? And by the way, when I say that it's allegedly that Triple H and 78 Man cheated, amongst each other,
yes.
That's allegedly, okay? We don't know the full story with that situation.
What Ryan is saying there is that they did cheat, by the way. He's just saying allegedly over and over again.
We've heard multiple stories. I don't know what the true story is, and like I said, only God knows. And you know what? I ain't God. But I can tell you one thing for sure. I think the WWE messed up majorly with this situation, and I think they need to put her name and her legacy to rest at this year's WWE Hall of Fame. Let her be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Let Stephanie McMahon and Triple H get up there and let them talk about her, and let's put to rest this whole situation between them, because her even from the grave, she has no peace. It's time to give her peace and rest. It's time to give her soul, her spirit rest. It's time to give her legacy a rest. And it's sad what happened to her. And I just cry for her and mourn for her being a Christian, being a man who believes in God. I mourn for her soul, and I hope she came to peace with, her maker before she died. But, at the end of the day, it's time to give her some peace and rest and, closure, It's time for closure. Everybody needs closure in their life, and this is a situation that needs the ultimate closure. That's all I got to say. Salute to the ring generals.
Yeah. Definitely, man. I mean, China was definitely a pioneer, and right now we're in the middle of first ever Women's Royal Rumble, first ever Women's Elimination Chamber. Well, now that we're on the topic, why not throw in China and the Hall of Fame? Let's do it.
Exactly. No, I totally agree with that. I think she deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I would see her being in the Hall of Fame this year because they start mentioning her. Why mention her? Why mention her now if you're not going to put her in the Hall of Fame this year? Because she clearly is a Hall of Fame. If you're going to put the Dudley Boys in the Hall of Fame like they did this past week,
Boys, Eric
China
Bischoff.
has to
Goldberg.
be.
Goldberg.
China. Goldberg deserves it too. Yeah. But China is amongst those two people already in, so might as well put her in.
She deserves it.
Exactly. So
raise a glass in the sky and salute the ring generals.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Super Bowl weekend this weekend, so when you have that drink, when you make your drink, because people are going to be making drinks, people are going to have beers, raise that glass and raise that drink to the ring generals. It's been the Ring Generals podcast. Once again, I'm Nick Nenad.
And I am Eric. What's going on?
And I'm the RKJ Man.
And